I've been asked a few times to share my process for writing content on Textbroker. Once you get your own process down, it becomes far easier to create content for clients. You'll spend less time looking at a blank screen and more time writing. Now, the process that I'm going to show today is what I've found to work best for me. However, it's up to you to find the best process that works for you, because what works for me may not work for you. And that's fine. Everybody has to find their own groove. Because once you find that groove, you'll find working for content mails a lot easier. I'm Michael with WriterSanctuary, and today I'm going to show my process for writing content on Textbroker. Okay, so in order for me to avoid having to blank out client names and numbers and worry about privacy settings, I went ahead and created a temporary fake kind of format. It's based on actual orders that I've received in the past, and it might be a little bit different, but I'm thinking about creating a series of these just to break down what each different client might want. Because most clients are very unique and they have different requirements, and it can take a whole different process. It all really depends on what the client wants. So for this example, I just set up something pretty basic, but along the lines of what people keep asking me for. And yes, I know that this is not Textbroker, but let's say that I took the description out of Textbroker. This is exactly what I would do. I would find the description of what somebody wants, and then I would paste that description of the job directly into WordPress. So in this case, I have the keyword of web hosting 2 to 3 times, and the topic info is, let's say they want me to write a 1,000 word post about free blogging tools in 2020. Now this is kind of a basic description, but it's pretty close to a large portion of the ones I used to do. So that would be the first thing I would do, is slap it into WordPress. Now the reason why I use WordPress is so that I can use the Yoast SEO tool, which is down here, and it'll check the readability. And it'll check the SEO, but I'm not really too worried about how keywords appear on this because the client wants it a specific way. But I will use the readability feature. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the free blogging tools in 2020, and I'm going to look up what people have done so far in Google for those keywords. And you can see most of them are going to be listicles like 100 blogging tools, all these different ones here. Like, well, I'll click into it and I'll take a look at what they've got, like HubSpot here. 25 best blogging tools to grow your blog. And see, you got HubSpot, WordPress, Ghost, Make Me a Persona, a whole bunch of different things you can use. But they're really, I don't know, I don't want to create a listicle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it a different way. My idea is to break down some free tools that you'll use for building a blog from start to finish. So instead of showing just a list of different things you can use, I want each one to be a specific area. So like for your blogging platform, I'm going to pick WordPress, obviously, because I'm a big fan of WordPress and it's free. Then I might add in some more things like key phrase information. So we'll list a couple of things like answer the public, maybe Google AdWords. Well, I guess it's called something else now. It's keyword planner that's in Google Ads. WordStream is another good one. So what would that look like? So I would definitely plan out what I'm going to be writing. So each one is going to be under its own H2 header. And we'll start off with WordPress. And we'll say content management system. Technically that's what it is. It's a CMS. And so I'm going to go ahead and fill out the rest of the portions of the article that I want to do. So as you can see, instead of a listicle, I went a little bit different with it. I have the WordPress content management system, key phrase planning options, using Yoast SEO and why, adding royalty-free images from Pixabay, image editing tools for the blog, and using your social media accounts. And then the good web hosting can go a long way is actually the conclusion. I hate using final thoughts or in conclusion, and I'd like to have it a little bit more, well, seem more lively. I hate default sayings for the conclusion, so unless the client asks me specifically to put in conclusion, I'm not going to put it. Okay, so now we need to keep in mind that we have 1,000 word post and we don't want to go over the 1,000 words because some clients, I guess, will turn them down. I've never had it happen before, but I've had some people mention in comments before that they had like a few words over the limit and the client sent it back for a revision and I've never had it happen. I don't understand it. Most clients, I would assume, would appreciate the extra words because they're not paying for it, but perhaps they had a specific window of words that they could only use, and going over it would just screw things up. So I guess I can kind of see why, but we're just going to keep it at just under 1,000 words. And to start off, before I even start diving into all the other points, is I write the intro and the conclusion first. But we also need to make sure that we add in our key phrase, which is web hosting. And as you can see, I've already added it to the final conclusion paragraph. So we need to add it at least one more time, probably 2, because they want it 2 to 3 times. Okay, now as you can see, I added an extra section in the intro called Why Not Use Free Hosting Platforms. Now, gauged on the content that I'm creating, I went ahead and added a couple of short paragraphs about the difference of using a free blogging platform versus using web hosting because, well, according to the keyword, that's what the client's looking for. So I broke down why you don't want to use a free blogging system if you're trying to monetize the website. And free systems don't give you root access most of the time to some of the deeper stuff that you might need. So now that I have my intro and my conclusion, it's time to break down the inside of the article. I still have 1,000 words to reach, and I've already done 209 minus the keyword information here at the bottom because I'm going to wind up deleting that because I'm not going to need it in this article. Now the only reason why it's there in the first place is to remind me that that's what I need to do is a 1,000 word post about blogging tools, and I need the web hosting 2 to 3 times. Now the content that I created, I've already used it twice, so I'm going to try to squeeze it in one more time where it's logical within the middle of the article so that it gives the client a few options because I bet they're going to wind up linking that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. So now I'm down to 194 words right there. And this is how big of a dork I am, but it works really well. I open up the calculator. I say 1,000 words minus 194 gives me 806 words left. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got 6 points here. So I'm going to so 806 divided by 6. It's 134 words to go. 0.3. So I'm going to say 134 even. So let's go with 194 plus 134. So my first point can go up to 328 words evenly without going over. So I'm going to create each point in this article up to whatever 194 plus 134 is 328. And then I'm just going to keep adding 134 words to each section until I reach 1,000. That way the entire blog looks even. It's not too much content in one and too little in the other. It's all just perfectly nice and flows great. Okay, now that I got the content created, we're going to scroll down and we're going to see how it looks according to Yoast. And as you can see, it scores fairly well. Everything's in the green, easy to read, and I've already added all the links to everything. Now, I find that it's far more effective if you add a couple of statistics in with a piece. It depends on the content. In this particular case, I was showing how WordPress has like 36% of the market share of every website on the internet. I also added in the fact that blog posts with images get 94% more traffic. And I was able to link to 2 very credible sources for those statistics. Now, not all clients appreciate statistics, and some of them might even ask you to remove them, which I've had to do before. But for the most part, it adds something more credible to the piece, and real serious clients I found, especially ones that send me the most work, often request having statistics in their content. In fact, my current client right now, my private client, pretty much demands it, which is fine. It takes a little bit longer to sift through and find some good credible statistics, but it makes the piece look more professional. Okay, so now that we got the content built, it's time to create a title. So when I come up with titles for my clients, I usually like to go to something like CoSchedule. CoSchedule is a free tool that helps you create all kinds of different titles, and it'll analyze it, and it bases its information according to linguistics. So like things like power words and emotional words, they tend to perform better on social media, and since most of your clients are going to be sharing these articles on social media, if you create a good title for them that brings in more traffic, all the better. The fun part's coming up with different titles though, because you can spend like all day coming up with something neat. So for this one, I'm going to try to keep it simple because I didn't create a listicle. I created a different type of setup, so Let's try free blogging tools to help you succeed in 2020. So we're going to analyze now. And then we get a score. Now we're scoring at 66, and it's showing us we only have a couple of power words, no emotional words, no uncommon words. So 66 is okay. It's just you want to try to get it green, and that's going to be anything that scores 70 or higher. Now back in the day, we would try to see if we can score in the 80s, which is fairly hard to do, especially if you don't know very many emotional or power words. So we're going to see if we can get that 66 up a little bit higher. What can we do with this? Free blogging tools to help you succeed in 2020. So what if we put in the word awesome? Oops. Awesome. That's going to be too long, I bet. And maybe I should spell it right. Bam. So we're going to analyze that one. And see, that one got us at 67. Still not good enough though. See, when we look down, we're still kind of short. If I can come up with a good emotional word or maybe something that's uncommon, that'd probably be better. But if we scroll down, we're also hitting 55 characters and we're 10 words long. Now, most clients on Textbroker really don't care about the word length. This is more of a professional courtesy from myself. And it might be one of the reasons why so many clients send me direct orders. So we're going to try to get that up a little bit higher. We're at 67. So what else can we write here? Because we've tried these ones. So we're going to try free blogging tools you'll love to help succeed in 2020. And we're at 68. So we're getting closer. Point by point. Now, technically, you really don't need to do this. I bet a lot of clients would just be happy with the 3 titles that I have there. But it's more like a game to me to see if I can get higher. You can quit whenever you want, but I just like playing around with the tool and see if I can come up with something that's better than what I had before. Best free blogging tools of 2020 that you'll love. Let's try that. And we hit 76. A lot better. And it pretty much covers everything that I wrote the article about because I did go through and find some of the best tools you can possibly use for a blog. So it's not clickbait because, well, I can provide those answers. So now we're going to take this title. We're going to say, copy that. We're going to keep it. And we're going to title it. Of course, we're going to need an apostrophe. All right, so now the problem is that once we're done writing it, it doesn't really matter if we have it in the title because we just need to copy and paste it over to Textbroker anyway. So at that point, I would go through and do maybe one more glance through to make sure everything's spelled right, everything looks good code-wise. I like using the classic editor in WordPress simply because I know how to put in all the H tags for headers and all the bullet list HTML, and it's just a lot faster for me to type it out than it would be to try to use Textbroker's system to create them. So I would just do it all this way. I go through, we can do one more pass for quality assurance because, well, you want to be as good at the grammar as possible. You don't want to send off spelling errors. And no one is 100% perfect, and there's times where the client loved the article, gave me a glowing review on the whole thing, and even gave me a bonus. And Textbroker editors will still ping for like comma usage or misspelling of a word. So you don't have to be like completely accurate and perfect, but try to get as close as possible. So that's why I like to go over it maybe 2 or 3 times just to make sure everything's spelled right. Right now I have Grammarly installed on Chrome, so that helps me go through and find all kinds of grammatical and spelling errors. Plus I use Chrome, so there's another spelling checker on it. And as you can see, it's finding some things here, but we don't really care. Most of that's going to be the no opener code for the link, which you probably don't need in Textbroker, but WordPress puts those in anyway. So I just go ahead and leave them. If they want me to edit those out, I can. So it's no biggie for a revision. It takes maybe 30 seconds. But I have yet to have anybody send it back. So, and as you can see, I hit the word count of 996. Now, the big thing here is that the word count in WordPress is going to be slightly different than the word count in Textbroker simply because of how they calculate the different things. And no 2 systems are going to be identical. And usually I found that there's a 20 to maybe a 20 word difference sometimes. Sometimes they were pretty close, but for the most part, if you put it in there and you're over your limit, you might want to go through and see if there's anything else you can take out. maybe a small sentence or a sentence that you can condense to make it shorter, or on the opposite side, if there's anything you can make it longer without seeming redundant or fluff. But normally I just copy and paste it just like it is, and we are good to go. So I would just copy that whole thing, slap it into Textbroker, complete with the title, and hit submit. But as you can see, I did find a couple of stats, like I did link that one. Now sometimes it'll have you go through and unlink some stuff or want you to change some things around, and that's what a revision is for, and that's okay. If you get a revision, don't sweat it. A lot of times it's just a quick, easy fix, and you're good to go. It just depends on how anal the client wants to be. So there you have it. That's my process for doing articles in Textbroker. Now, for the most part, it's always identical, kind of like that, where I search it up and see what other people are doing. I don't want to be similar. I don't want to just copy something that somebody else has done. Like you saw in that list, that there was a ton of people that were doing listicles on the best blogging tools for 2020, and those are okay. I like to stand out more. I like to create something that's unique for myself and for the client. But sometimes that's all they want is a listicle, and they'll let you know, and you just go through. And what I would do in that case, and I've had to do it before, is I'll open up like 7 or 8 of those pages, and then I'd go through and find some of the most valid links that they've got. If there's tools that people are still using, how updated the websites are. So I go through and I try not to create the exact same article everybody else does by providing the best quality I possibly can. And it's kind of hard to do when you're doing it in a listicle, especially if they want it like 800 words. And so that means every one of those points is going to be like a sentence long. But if that's what they're paying for, that's what they're paying for. So what kind of process do you use for Textbroker? In the comments down below. Like I said before, it's all about finding your perfect groove and something that works for you, where you get start to finish and you get into that same repetition and you can just crank them out wicked fast. And that's the whole point of the whole thing, is to find what works best for you. Now this method works great for me. I can just zip through everything. I did that 1,000 words in maybe 20 minutes. And it also helped that I already had a background and all the information it wanted. But if there's something that you're looking for in particular, leave in the comments down below, and I'll see if I can do a mock-up of that one, and we can go from there. Because like I said before, not every article is going to be identical. Every client is different with different requirements. Some might want the keyword used once. Some may want it 7 or 8 times per paragraph. It just depends. And since this was a mock-up, I'm going to go ahead and publish it on my blog, so if you want to take a look at that, it'll be at WriterSanctuary.com. You can see how I created it. I'm probably going to add another intro sentence though, because I don't like hitting below 1,000 words. I like to have it between an average between 1,000 and 1,200. So I'm going to go ahead and probably add a little bit more to it, but essentially that's what I do. If you find the video informative, hit the like button. If you want to see more videos covering Textbroker, freelance writing, WordPress, or anything else I cover, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. I think it's going to do it for me today. I'll see you tomorrow. But if you find the video informative, hit the like button. If you want to see more videos covering Textbroker, freelance writing, WordPress, or anything else I cover, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget... First time I screwed that one up in a long time.